Coming up on this edition of Safari Changemakers.
That is why Tangulia is called Tangulia, because it is the first to be owned and run by the Maasai people.
The camp is owned by us, and the land is owned by us.
The challenges that which we are facing, yes, we have a lot of challenges. And the kind of competition we are facing from the multinational people is just enormous.
This is Safari Changemakers. Conversations with Africa's most innovative visionaries, the guardians, pioneers, and trailblazers, offering solutions to the most pressing challenges facing the continent. Over-tourism, human-wildlife conflict, the climate crisis, and environmental degradation. Conversations that reveal bold strategies for sustainable tourism leading to economic opportunities for indigenous communities while protecting local ecosystems and wildlife. Here's your host, founder of Artisans of Safari, recognized by Travel and Leisure and Condé Nast Traveler magazines as one of the top travel specialists for Africa, Karin Jones.
On today's episode, I'm interviewing Jackson and Dominic. They are the owners of the first camp in the Mara that is 100% owned by Maasai. I started by asking Dominic and Jackson where exactly they were in the Mara today.
Thank you, Karin. It's a pleasure having us this evening. I'm in the Maasai Mara, Tangulia Mara.
I'm actually on the other side of the Maasai Mara, a place called Mara Repoi. We are probably about 2 hours apart from Dominic or from each other.
What are you seeing out there this evening?
I think Dominic would have been seeing some rhinos, but I'm looking at zebra, giraffe, Thompson gazelles, wildebeest, and that's about it that I can see. Maybe ostriches in the distance, and so that's what I can see. Some good, beautiful hills on the skyline up around, some wonderful acacias, and there's a lot of beautiful birds that I can hear on the background. How about you, Dominic?
We have a lot here. You know that we are just not far from the Mara River. From where I'm seated, I can see the hippos. And we have a lot of water in the Mara River because it's raining upstream. That is in the Mau forest where we have the source of the Mara.
We are the two and only partners that own Tangulia Mara. And because we own the land, and we are not renting, we can actually do better and good things. We don't have a 33-year lease, or we don't have a 60-year lease. The camp is owned by us, and the land is owned by us.
The challenges that which we are facing, yes, we have a lot of challenges. And the kind of competition we are facing from the multinational people is just enormous because we are fighting for one market with the most of them. So it is not easy because we have to keep on changing the product each and every time. That is, we have to improve our tents. We have to have new vehicles. Our competitors are putting a lot of money
into getting clients to their lodges and camps. So Dom, what was the dream and sort of the vision for this camp?
We wanted to show the Maasai the way. And that is why Tangulia is called Tangulia, because it is the first to be owned and run by the Maasai people. What makes us to be different is that Jackson, he is very strong in guiding. And also I have a very strong background in conservation. And conservation is the way forward. And it can only be sustainable if the Maasai people themselves will be involved in the business of running the small camps like Tangulia Mara. As I said, it is the only way that the Maasai, that is the conservation of wildlife, can be sustained if the local themselves are involved in this kind of business within their own conservancies or land.
For people who don't really understand what a conservancy is compared to the national park, just give an overview.
Yeah. Conservancy means the people coming together and give out their land for conservation purposes. They are not government protected land. These are private lands, individual people giving out their land for conservation of wild animals.
What's the
Yeah.
benefit?
There's a lot of benefit because we have a lot of employment opportunity for the local people. People are being paid their leases of their every month from their parcels of lands. People are getting bursaries. That is education that is for their daughters and sons. And also a better management of the whole conservancy. We have land for grazing of the domestic animal like cows, goat, and sheep. And people are getting a lot of benefit because we have better management, whereby even sometimes when we have some very extreme drought, the cows in the conservancies will survive because there is a very good management within the ground, whereby the rotational grazing of cows from one zone to another. Each and every landowner will have something in his bank account from the conservancy.
So I'm going to shift a little bit. Jackson, you started as a night guard and tracker, following your father's footsteps, and then you became the first Maasai guide in Mara. Can you share a little bit about that journey and what motivated you to eventually create your own camp?
It's a very long story. As you know, I'm actually well over 40 years in that. So I'm going to compress a 40 years experience to 1 minute, if
yes, perfect.
Growing up, it's always that narrative that you would like to be in the Mara and be part of the ecosystem and what Mara is all about. You know, when you grow up and see cars moving, the tourists in it, we didn't even know if they had legs, and we were afraid to touch them. And to be able to be mingle with them through another operator. The fellow was called Ron Beaton. So he brought my father as a spotter, and we brought some guests to our home, and that was the beginning of it. I learned English in school, and I was able to translate a lot of my cultural lifestyle and so on to the guest. And I was hired as in his camp. So I started very low. Started as a watchman. Then I climbed from a watchman to be a spotter, a tracker. So I go and look for animals and spot the animals, so danger. And after that, I was given a test to become a safari guide. And it was quite a while. It was not easy for any Maasai to get into the industry because education was a very big limiter. Most people did not have education. Most people did not have a way of how to get in. And through this fellow, Ron Beaton, I was able to understand what actually means to be a guide. So I'm self-taught and self-brought up, learned pretty much everything from botany to entomology, to astronomy, to cultural, to animals, anything you can think of. I've learned every single bit with years. And that's how I became the first guide, Maasai guide. And then there was one story that I needed to change the singularity, just the same as changing myself or duplicating myself from being Tangulia to become with Dominic. I wanted to have more guides. And so we started a guiding school, and that was my dream. Started on top of the hill, and I was asked by a journalist from, I think it was Travel and Leisure. It was way back 1990s, and said, if you were to change something in the Mara, what would you change? I said, I will have more Maasai to be in the guiding industry because that's the survival of the Mara. And said, how do you do that? He said, well, dream would be a guiding school. And because it was written in that article, my boss got in touch with the EU, European Union, American Express, and many other well-wishers, and the guiding school was born as a result of the very first article that was written about me having a dream of having a guiding school in the Mara. And now that guiding school have become so big, has produced so many guides, both women and men. It is such a success story. And now we have about 2 of them, probably 3 of them in the Mara. So all of them as a direct result of the very, very fast what's called Koyaki Guiding School.
Amazing.
And that was my dream. And change that. And many of the guides, you go to the airstrip, majority of the people are Maasai. And I'm very proud of that. And so that's the short story of how I became a guide.
Or are you just saying that's the majority now are Maasai?
By far. I mean, it's really completely overturned the tables.
Wow.
More than 80% of the guides in the Mara who are residents are Maasai. And even drive-in, majority of them are still a lot of young Maasai people who have joined into the by road business after the college or after other colleges, and now motivated to know that all the 3 big wildlife destinations in Kenya and in Tanzania are actually Maasai land. That is Maasai Mara, Amboseli, Samburu, Serengeti, Ngorongoro. That's all Maasai land. And therefore, it really is a motivation to the community that they can get some employment at the doorstep of their own homeland where they have grazed as kids and walked on that land and lived on that land.
Who were the guides before that?
It was very difficult to say who, because I would say majority of people who might have come from Nairobi, and a majority of officers from the companies who run the camps are based, the headquarters are based in Nairobi. So employment was being interviewed in Nairobi, not on the ground. Then because of a lot of negotiation, and particularly when you come to the ground, the elders and also everybody else said, well, you need to change that and have also the local people benefit. And that's why the benefits is has come back and turning around to the Maasai children, because they were completely left out. And now they are now pretty much in every single sector within the industry. They being in guides, they are also in the rooms, they are also on the other service, being waiting, or as well as chefs. We have a lot of fantastic Maasai chefs now in the industry. So it really is a good, a positive thing.
Has this impacted sort of local families and traditional Maasai way of life?
Absolutely. It has changed because there is an economy. You're not a guide without being paid.
Yeah.
And that payment goes back to the village. And the village that you are supporting not one person, you're probably supporting half of the village. And therefore, anybody who is employed will always have a majority of other people behind them, that they're going to school, depending on him to go to college, medical, or even putting food on the table. It is still very much dependent on that job. As Dominic said earlier, the employment is a very big incentive for why the conservancies actually are attractive to the community.
I also understand that Jackson, your daughter, is involved with the camp.
The hardest thing for a lot of people to do is to translate what is your passion to the children. It's very, very hard. The children that have come very early on to the Mara, as my children came when they were up to 3 months old, they were introduced immediately and into the Maasai Mara, so they get into their blood. They can go away and they will always know this is home, this is a beautiful place, and they treasure it. So my daughter is running Mara Siena. She's a manager there, and she's doing absolutely wonderful. And I remember when we started Tangulia, I said to my business partner, Dominic, I said, we have to employ equally both boys and girls, because the moment you open the door for one of other daughters, you are actually opening your daughter's doors, the next generation, and pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I know that there are more and more women guides who have taken some leadership.
More safari changemakers after this.
Safari Changemakers is brought to you by Artisans of Safari. Beyond the map lies adventure. With nearly 40 years guiding travelers into Africa's hidden sanctuaries, we craft journeys as individual as your fingerprint. Expertly designed, deeply personal. Connect with Karin at artisansofsafari.com for your collaborative consultation. Your safari, your story. Artisans of Safari.
Dom, you talked a little bit already about multinational competition and some of the bigger lodges, and can others do this? And is this something that you'd like to see more Maasai-owned safari lodges?
Yes, although we have conservancies that which have signed a lot of land, and it has put some people maybe on a bit difficult places, maybe position to start a business because the land has been leased. We still have some land whereby some people can do like what we are doing with Jackson. But what stands between them and success? To start a camp is not easy. It needs someone who is to be committed 100%. And also marketing is also another big challenge. To get capital, it is not easy. So those are some of the factors that which stand between those Maasai who want to follow our footsteps.
Are there human-wildlife conflicts that arise between the wild game and the grazing animals? Are there issues there? And
the issue of human-wildlife conflict is not something new, and I think because since the Maasai, we believe that when we came down, as that's what the Maasai believe, we kept down from the blue sky above with all our cows. We always had a peaceful coexistence with the wild animals. We can have some few conflicts sometimes when the lions or the leopards attack the cows, goat, and sheep. But these days, because of the conservancies, those things, we no longer, like the Maasai, it used to be our culture, tradition. Before some people are being circumcised, you have to prove that you are a man enough to go and kill a lion. These days, no, we say those are repugnant laws and which are against natural justice. And these days, because of conservancies, the animals, the wild animals, these are our bread and butter. And in case there is any attack of animals killed by lions, goat, and sheep by leopards, we have set up in the conservancies, we have set up a small fund whereby we are going to console the families to give them something small. We don't really say that is to pay them everything because they are part of the ecosystem, but we console them. And in case of maybe by bad luck, the cows have been attacked by a lion, the Maasai don't kill that lion, but they report to the conservancy. The rangers will go and see the killed cows, and from there they can make a decision, and the conservancy will give something small to the family, that's the cows which were killed by the lion. So these days, the conflicts are very, very minimal because even at night, we have a bombers whereby even the predators cannot go in because we have some blinking light in case of cows, because of that is sheep and goats. The conservancy we have also whereby the animals are put together. That is when they do the rotational grazing in the conservancy. And there's a small little bit of an electric wire which will prevent the predators from attacking the cow.
has the ceremony for manhood changed now? Is there something different that people do instead of killing a lion?
Yes, it has changed big time because I think during my time with Jackson, we went to the bush and we killed all the birds because you must have some bird during when it comes to circumcision. Yeah. But these days, all those things has been phased out. We have a new form of whereby the the young boys graduate to Moranism, that is warriors. And these are just very good ways, very civilized ways whereby no animal is going to be killed. So we have new ways now.
If I would think by coming to a camp like yours, I'm going to have an even better opportunity to really understand a little bit more about culture of the Maasai.
Yes, our camp is very rich when it comes to Maasai culture and tradition. And these are the stories we always share with our guests in our campfire in the evening.
Sometimes what I've seen when I've been in the Maasai Mara is more of what I call performance or performative culture, where you literally don't see all much of the culture. Then you go to a Maasai village per se, and people come and dance and things, and then that's it. That's the extent of the cultural exchange. And people really would like to have a more authentic experience and just conversations.
There are things that you cannot reverse. We've got to be honest when it comes to the change. When people go to school, you don't expect that people will remain the same. Because I and Dominic are authentic, any question that anybody asks about our culture and our lifestyle is a continuation of what they might have seen in the cultural village. Yeah. We still take people to those cultural villages because that's the only little glimpse they will have. Because we don't take a guest to my house or Dominic home or to go and show them how we live and how the lifestyle has been. We got to be very honest. This is the culture. We still practice a lot of that culture, but we cannot share that culture by putting you in the Maasai village and you sleep there, you go and eat there. We've got to be explaining to you when we are around the campfire and when we are guiding, when you're having dinner. There's a lot of questions. And that's the importance of Tangulia, because you are with the Maasai, and the Maasai will tell you exactly what is happening now. We don't want to talk about 1,000 years ago. We want to talk about what is happening now. And that's what the whole world is all about. If you want to learn about the American Indians, for example, those natives, their culture is no longer there. So they have to tell you what is happening now, because that is a living culture and is constantly changing. People going to university and they become doctors. People go to other colleges, they become teachers. They go to other colleges, become bankers. And the Maasai are not exceptional. They have to compete as a community in a growing and a changing Kenya.
As Jackson said, we are rich in the Maasai culture. This is something that which is embedded to us, in fact, in our business, because it's about 95% our employees are from the Maasai, from the local village. But as Jackson said, things are going to phase out slowly. Like the how we used to get fire, that is when we do some certain ceremony. We don't just get a matchbox, but we do through frictions of two sticks. And we still have that one. And in the village, that which we take our guests, that is whereby we still say is a bit authentic, they will be taken around the small Maasai huts and the Maasai market, that which is there. So it's not only to go and dance and whatever. We have those elders who knows a lot about the Maasai. And if there is any guest want to ask a question, he or she will be answered. And that is in the village because they have some young men who are very fluent in English. We still have a lot of questions to answer back in the campfire or in the dinner table.
Is the traditional Maasai culture something that is most important to older Maasai, or is it still really important to younger Maasai as well?
People who are even younger than us, the people are coming out, people are saying, we need to preserve our culture. Like, for example, we have those people who are lecturers at the university at the moment, and we have a certain graduation of young men from being from warrior, from Moranism to junior elders. And these are people who are working in government offices, who are seeing over this ceremony going on. And they are saying that even if we have education, we need to preserve our culture. They are saying, for example, if you go out to the United States and you want to say that you are a Kenya, you have to address like a Maasai, like the way Dominic is dressing. You have to put on your Maasai shukas. And I think as we speak, in fact, I think the Maasai, we are the trademark of Kenya when it become to business. It's just because we are conserving and we are preserving our culture.
Talking a little bit about the Maasai Mara as a whole, I know that during the migration season, over tourism is a major issue. How do you provide really meaningful experiences without contributing to the problem?
The most important thing here is guiding. You must have the right guides in place, and that is our priority number one. When we employ guides, they must be people who are competent. During the migration season, about 70% of the vehicles in the high season is by road. These are people from Nairobi who just want to see lions. They don't care how many vehicles are there. So the difference between us and them is our guides are trained, competent, and they know what Tangulia is. So instead of just going to those crowded sightings in the high season, because everyone is going to the river, is going to the main crossing, our guides don't go to overcrowded sighting. The Mara is big, and there is no any worry whatsoever or threat to us. So we have a very good and ample time to see them in the Mara Conservancy.
Basically, your guides are going in the opposite direction, away from all those masses of vehicles. Being in a private conservancy, you're able to stay away from those masses. That's one of the things that conservancies offer.
Sure. We keep off from the overcrowded sighting. As you know, Tangulia, we are seated on 1,000 acres. That is a private land. Our guides, they have to look for their own sighting. They just don't see where we have 10 or 15 vehicle and they drive straight there. No.
That's sort of the lazy way, just to see where everybody else is going.
And then they drive straight there.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
we don't do that. Yes.
If you were going to pick 3 words about the future of safari in the Maasai Mara, what 3 words would you pick, Dominic?
The future is bright.
Jackson?
For the Mara as well as in Kenya, you say conserved, protect, and always look ahead. If you don't do that, there's no future.
If you could pick one Maasai tradition that you believe is the most important to preserve, what would that be?
The Maasai, we have just been conservationists all along. We have to keep our animals so that it can empower us economically. So I can say conservation for community empowerment as the Maasai people of Kenya.
And for me, I would say, for the Maasai, the only thing we need to preserve, respect, because we have respect for wildlife, respect for humanity. Thank you.
I could speak to you both for hours, but I know it's getting later and dark probably there. Are you able to turn your camera just to show everyone where you are?
Yeah, you can see where I am. That's the sunset over there. And you can see all the dots there. Those are the wildlife.
Yeah.
You have an acacia tree here. You got some impalas. And this is where I am.
Can you do that as well, Dominic?
So this is where we are. And that is, you can see over there, that is the Mara River. And that is Olololo escarpment. And you can see, and I can see there is an eland over there. I don't know if you can see an eland that is in the background. And this is where I am, Tangulia Ndogo.
Thank you so much. Really incredible. Well, that's our show for today. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Till next time, I'm Karin Jones.